I have no idea why 720p is not HD. But sure it is. I hope they will never consider it HD, because that means we can just watch it in the HD. Just occurred to me, what is the OC's name? Well, it has been a long while since he got a name. He is a Bamboo Scout. Just a second. I also have him here. More curious about the symbol in the hat. Where could that have gotten from? Oh, you got a breakfast? Sure. I'm listening, Quill. Please write the OC's name. I can write it, but I have a better way. So I can make a deeper search. Oh no. You shouldn't. That's not a good idea. But yeah, that is his name, and that is when he was named. If sentence has dot in it, it indicates a short pause. Okay. When italic bold, say the word with emphasis. If caps, speak louder. Or at least pretend to speak louder. If cap and bold and italic, speak louder with emphasis. Okay. I will try. At least until my voice can hold. Anything else? That is a good question, Agavis. It is basically a rank, but he was using it as a part of his name. He actually asked every pony to say it. It's like, yeah, I'm a doctor. I'm doctor. I'm a little bit tired. That is why I'm not gonna stream tomorrow. But a bit loud, but okay. That's because it's in YouTube, and I can still make it lower. I hope I won't get in trouble with this, because these are remixes, not the original songs. I hope the creator Shady is fine with that. So, like lady. Yep. Like lady. But yeah, we are here to read chapter 6. I am the wind. Let me set this up. still didn't get more music for this, so we will still have the other 5 or 6 music that I had. But later on I will try to get some background music for this, but I'm a little bit tired. That is also why I'm gonna just tomorrow I'm just gonna arrive home and fall into bed and sleep the whole day. But this should be fine, it's not that long, is it? No, it's not that long. And let me switch to this part, let me move away. And there's chapter 6. Everything is visible, every word is visible, is it? Let me see, click, click. Yep, you can see every part of it. That's fine. So let me stop this. Probably copyrighted music. Because I don't want the other parts of this to be muted. That part can be muted, the intro can be muted, that's fine. Yep. I hope I will sleep well later as well. So let's see, random music, there we go. It's not loud. It's a little bit on the lower sound wise, but there we go. Yep. Can I see it? Oh, you can see that I am tired. Okay, that's fine. I can't do anything about it. Well, I can, but then I wouldn't be here. So let's continue. Skydancer, the first flying unicorn. Chapter 6. I am the wind. I must admit, I really felt bad. I felt really bad for Braeburner Cut. All he was trying to do was collect enough seeds to help save his dying farm. He succeeded in gathering the seeds, but then encounters with apparently crazed fool who literally leaps off a cliff and almost got himself killed. Then he dragged his injured fool to his home, nursed him back to health, to only leave the next day and go way out of his way to return me to closest relatives. Talk about twists and turns in life, eh, daughter? That's something I learned for myself during this trip. I thought about all the problems I went through in my life, as short as it was during that time, then encountered other ponies who also had their problems, but they faced it with such a brave face. I couldn't tell how much he struggled to keep a smile on his face. Clearly, there was an effort. I remember him singing the most of the trip, which took him several days. 3 days in my memory, if my memory isn't mistaken. And that's traveling only one way. It should take him another 3 days to get back, and during that time, his family had to fend for themselves. No, I'm not sure. He can go the... He definitely went on the safer road to get to Ramadan, but he can get through the fast way, which is like 2 days. But he doesn't know that. I felt really bad though. I also had to admit, his tunes were kind of catchy. If the intent of the songs were to cheer us up, then it did a pretty good job. The point is, though, I noticed the effort to keep up our spirits. I figured his songs were a struggling attempt to keep himself from the brink of despair, and quite likely he figured I needed it too. He was right, of course. I may not have been truly suicidal, but I did flee from home because of unpleasant circumstances. A catchy song getting stuck in my head was actually a pleasant distraction from all of life's many varied problems. Largely due to my guilt, I decided to be as good good of boy for him as possible. I cooperated with him in every possible way that I could. I even helped out with some of the chores, such as it was while traveling. I thought he would say, I even helped him out with some of the chords. I was singing too. Later today, Aramis will have to abandon his building for the first time. Oh! Social distancing mandate. Transporter of some essentials. Well, essentials can be a lot of things. Actually, come to think of it, there was something else we accomplished along the way multiple times. And I should factor that into the 3-day travel time. We actually stopped many times to look for useful seeds to supplement his farm. I once asked him why he needed it. He seemed to bring up plenty. He told me there were all kinds of reasons. Seeds can grow food, seeds can be found food onto themselves, and some had medicinal applications. He also said it never hurt to have extra because they generally store really well. He was willing to give some to my uncle or to some of Braper's neighbors. Failing all that, he would simply keep it in storage. Since we were at it anyway, he decided to take it upon himself to give me educational tips about the wonderful science of seeds. I never thought I would hit those words together. The wonderful science of seeds. I could tell that he considered it a delight to teach another young foal the secrets of the seeds. And I decided that if I could do anything to make him happy, then I would cooperate to my fullest. No. I'm laughing because this is another innuendo that Braper is teaching a young foal about the secrets of the seeds. And if I could do anything. Did you say anything? Are you sure about that? It could go several ways. But we are not going that way. I hope we are not. Besides, his knowledge was actually useful. And in a very practical way. Wait, why is the end here? Besides, his knowledge was actually useful in a very practical way. The seeds of the past, they grow up so fast. Some hearts never go away. Oh no. Oh no. Now you ruined that song for me as well. Thank you, Alchemist. Thank you. Hey, my story is innocent. But that does not affect the minds of the reader. That's true. I wish I had known this stuff several days before I met him, while I was traveling up the river by myself. I probably passed useful food sources many times because of that ignorance. The benefits of his wisdom helped to ensure that it wouldn't happen again as often. It figures he would have to have a lot to teach about anything that specifically pertains with his own cutie mark. But through his teachings, I learned just how valuable these skills really were. One of those few songs that made you cry without realizing why. Well, the one that made me cry was the last song in the same episode. But that was because of the tone. No load intent today. No. It's not just today, it's every time. if you get down to it. This is the strongest essence of the Earth Police and the strongest contribution to Equestria. And he shared with me those secrets without hesitation. He didn't care that I was a unicorn. Brayburn figured that his knowledge was so important that every pony should know about it, at least a little. Through these seeds, the miracle of life is born. This is one of the most crucial pillars of equestrian life. I felt honored to benefit from his wisdom, even if it was only for a few days. It was sure enlightening. Even when we weren't stopping and scouring for seeds, he still liked to talk about seeds. Again, repeating words. Even when we stopping and scouring for seeds, he still liked to talk about them. He told me of all kinds of different types of seeds and what kind of environment those seeds best like to grow in. I actually found these lectures quite fascinating. Maybe it was because it didn't come from a book this time. I'm sure there are books on these sort of subjects, but hearing it from the horse's mouth, literally, somehow made it feel more real and relevant. By hearing it from Brayburn, I was privileged to hear it spoken with such passion and conviction. It only further served to emphasize why it was so important and why I should care about it. Also, it helped to pass the time. I was grateful for that. And now we are back to Rainbow Dash learning about Wonderboards. Listening, hearing, reading, all other senses are needed for learning. It's not just a written word. There are actually some people who cannot actually learn from the written word alone. Like me. I am one of those kinds that if I hear something, I learn it. Fine. But if they just give me the same thing on a paper, I can read it several times and it will never just stay in my head. Reading a book is different though. It's not for learning. So, in a way, he taught me something else. Here we were, both stuck in a situation neither of us wanted, to some degree, but he demonstrated how to make the best of it. Because of our chance meeting, which occurred in crisis, he and I got to meet each other and become friends. I gained lots of new knowledge about seeds in Equestria, and he felt elated to know that one or more pony out there might benefit from his knowledge, and perhaps pass it on to others as well. And his songs were endless. He could just keep coming up with one after another, it seemed. Pretty much all of them had a country theme and colloquialism, but I did not mind much. To a point, I welcomed it because it was way so new. After a while, I started learning some of the words to the song and sang along with him. And now, I was actually helping him with the chords. He was very delighted at that. And it's just, well, let's just say we had a good time and made the best out of a bad situation. A rather important lesson to learn, I think. Eventually, we did reach my uncle's farm. Brayburn did not spend too much time there, but did take a moment to say hi to his family. Brayburn was more familiar with them than I initially expected, and vice versa. Some pony elaborated further about this on a later date, specifying that this is actually a kind of typical country life. Just imagine if a unicorn named Quill happened to write about his knowledge of seeds. He probably did write a poem about this. Most of the time, they spent their time apart in isolated farms, but come together in some central location. Between them was in the right to mingle and trade, even if that trade was only information. To mingle. They come together to mingle. Perfect choice of words. When they do meet each other, they tend to be very friendly. It's pretty typical for small towns like this, and know each other by name. If there aren't as many to remember, then it becomes easier to do so. Yeah, that could happen. It would remain forever. Forever! Before we arrived at my uncle's farm, I requested Brayburn to promise me not to tell my uncle's family at my seeming attempt at suicide. He said he would agree to that promise if I promised never to do it again. At that point, I was so eager to please him. I gave him that promise right away. I think I meant it at the time. I know, there are no ill intent. I just can't help but to put that in. It's just a high ball, you have to hit it. After our arrival at my uncle's farm, I made sure to get a moment of privacy with Uncle Ramadan, to share with him my suspicions about the curse in the red dust storms plaguing Brayburn's farm. I was relieved to hear that Ramadan promised to look into it and follow Brayburn back to his farm. Brayburn would be safe, for sure, on the return trip on that case, and Ramadan might even be able to truly and permanently dispel that curse. Add to that, it will give Brayburn a willing single partner along the way back. I also confessed what happened between me and my father. Ramadan sympathized with my plight, but said it was not his place to stand in his brother's way regarding the way he chose to raise his son. He offered to speak to his brother on my behalf, but that was it. He said I could not stay at his farm and that I needed to go back to Canterlot and apologize. I'm not suggesting that Brayburn cannot read or write, but rather that he would like to know how, or for the proper catalog research for paper protocols that would allow other police to use it in the future. No, I think you are right. He probably can read, but not write. That's what I think. Because otherwise he would probably label those jars. By this point, I had quite a while to think about what happened and cooled off, since I felt more accommodating, especially after the guilt I felt for being such a burden to Brayburn. I agreed with Ramadan's plan, albeit a little reluctantly. Since I agreed, Ramadan said for me to stay with his family until I got back, after trying to take care of Brayburn's problems. I figured that would give me about another week to stay with his family, and another week after that to travel back to Canterlot, unless some faster transportation method could be secured, like teleportation. Considering my father's resources, that was honestly possible. I could even see the motive. Yeah, Brayburn is not Twilight Sparkle. His knowledge has to be transferable to other ponies who lack it. He can say it to others, and he would probably teach it really well, but he cannot put it in proper words for a book. Otherwise it would be just a binary database without meaning. Or at least others would see it like it. After hearing Brayburn's plight, Brayburn was actually given a large extra stock of food to share with his family upon his return. In return, Brayburn found a bunch of seeds he collected in the way here. The two families exchanged this, and gladly agreed that this was a fair trade. I recall how Brayburn nudged me once as he smiled smugly. No, I recall how Brayburn nudged me once as he smiled slowly at me and bragged about how useful all that seed collecting was during the trip after all. He encouraged me to remember this lesson about preparation, and I have ever since. First stopping point. That's it. Bye bye. The end. No, just kidding. Obviously. We are already at half point. This really is a short one. It was only after a couple of days at Uncle Robert's farm when it finally occurred to me I lost my cloak back at that first cliff I jumped off. Trevor never noticed it, and I was too dazed at the time to think of it. On the second day at Ramadan's farm, I saw Ramadan's wife sewing together something, and it snapped into my head. Huh? Maybe she can fix my cloak using the same method. Then my eyes suddenly widened as I realized. Oh shoot, I don't have it anymore, do I? It was no big deal. Ultimately, my father could easily replace it and was likely inclined to do so. This was just one of those life lessons when you realize things could slip by. Things could slip by you when all sorts of other things are happening. Oh well. Yeah, Bremer can teach it, but once he dies, even if he writes stuff himself, it could not be practical. This is where Quill can make his wisdom in the knowledge. Yeah, until now, everything they learned is passed on by family members to child, to grandchildren, to every other generation, from word by word. It is practical in a family sense, in a small form, how they are living, but yeah, it wouldn't be practical to teach everybody at the same time. I consider the timing of that realization interesting, because something else interesting occurred later that night. I dreamt of flying, and it felt so vivid. I remember the experience so keenly, and I remember the rush, and the feel, and the sound of the wind during my dream. That was the one component of the dream that lingered even if I awoke, because the wind was actually howling outside the bedroom window of the attic I was staying in. Oh no. He is actually day flying, how sleep flying. That's what I want to say. He is sleep flying. Is he? He thinks it as a dream, but he actually is flying outside. I bet Lady kept that fine cloak of a noble elite student of Canterlot as the centerpiece of her secret shrine under the cellar. Maybe she did. Maybe they never even realized, because when they met, he already tossed the cloak down at the middle of nowhere. Or maybe the cows eat them, because it was on top of the hay. More so than ever before, I felt especially intense calling. In a daze, I got out of bed and drifted to the window. I placed one hoof on the glass as I paused to listen. I closed my eyes. I breathed deep. This was the wind. This was the pure wind. This was the kind that always sang to me. Wasn't it Brayburn that sang to you? I wouldn't say I ever took it for granted, but ever since I felt that evil wind back at Brayburn's farm, I grew to appreciate the spirit of pure and uncorrupted wind like the one that blew outside of Uncle Ramadan's farm all the more. Perhaps because of that, I felt in my soul stronger than ever before. There was an irresistible allure to it. The sheer intensity of that bond washed away all my doubts and concerns, and without really thinking about it much, I left the farm and followed the call of the wind. And then they never seen me again. This was the night I finally got my kitty mark, and also the first night I finally learned who I truly was. Once in a while, you hear legends of omens on unusual events that occur to each individual pony on the day they get their kitty mark. Most of the time, the tales say the individual pony overcomes some trial or makes striking revelation, but I heard of other more extreme cases where things happen that literally force a pony to be where they were meant to be, to make an important discovery. Just one example, I can think of the. Just one example, I can't speak. Just one example I can think of off the top of my head was a unicorn's horn, glowing with power, and taking them right out of bed to float across all Equestria until they arrive something or somebody that helps them realize their true destiny. It was a rock. A rock? This is my destiny? And then a super rainbow explosion happened, but it never happened until now, because this is before that happened. So I am actually hearing this from somebody who is from the future. That was rare, but it did happen. Wait, are you talking about spoilers? Okay, I'm not listening. You can write. I can see when you finished talking about spoilers. I don't call my case that extreme. Nothing really forced me out of the bed or the farm in such way that I couldn't resist. Instead of that, I was given irresistible bait. Call it what you will, but most would agree it was an omen, especially considering what happened afterward. I ended up trotting through the forest in a daze, following the call of the wind. I didn't realize it until much later, that it was the same forest I went into when I joined Uncle Ramadan's nature trip. But I probably didn't take the exact same path as he did. And come to think of it, I did arrive at my destination much easier and faster. When you get down to it, my course was plotted perfectly. I never made one wrong turn, one unnecessary leap. There were some challenges here and there, but I was convinced any other path would have been much harder for me. I didn't even need to ignite my horn with the light spell. I didn't have to. I just knew where I was going. I dodged every tree, rock, and branch that could have tripped me entirely on instinct. No spoilers! It's hard to describe fully what that felt like. To say I was in a daze, or just daydreaming, was not even half of it. Reality was skewed somehow. It didn't feel real. It felt better than real. It was like an enhanced version of reality. Snap is for the side. Spoilers. But yeah, I'm gonna suggest, if you are talking about spoilers, there we go. All potatoes should get one. What? Okay. I think that right is said. Should be a picture of the shirt. Meme. Oh. Hanging over the newspaper and yelling, "No spoilers!" That's why I can just stop reading instantly. Luckily, I spotted the word spoilers, so I stopped it immediately. So I don't even know what you were talking about at that point. Whatever is safe. Check it out. Yep, I had that part. Fair warning. I was afraid that there could be ones. Not actually discussing the modern nature. Okay, that's fine. I just immediately stopped when I said the word spoiler in the Strawberries is for the side. So I should click here. I hope this makes some sense to you. If it doesn't now, perhaps one day it will. In the end, if I fully realized it, I returned to the same cliff face I met only my first camping trip with my uncle. The same one right over there. Father gestured back to it, with a wave over his hoof. Except this time, it was somehow even more intense. The wind swirled around me. I couldn't have imagined that. In a way, it felt like confirmation, a validation that all my crazy beliefs were not fruitless. Wait, so they are at the same same exact place? Or at least close to it, so he can show it? So they are in the same forest. Next to Ramadan's farm. Huh. That was never written down. That I thought they were just, yeah, this is a special place to me. That's all you wrote before. But yeah, it makes sense. It would be a special place for him if he got his cutie mark there. I paused and just breathed for a long moment. Deep, slow breaths. And I noticed how the wind around me was mimicking me. If it was the two of us breathed as one. And I remember thinking how certain I felt that I was the wind, like a direct incarnation of it. The wind itself could have a soul, and I was pretty sure that it did. Then I must have been a part of that all along. Oh no, oh no. Let's use the spoiler tag right here, but not for this. If someone or something is mimicking you, you better stop. If you know what I mean. It's not a good idea to give it more information. I don't trust the wind anymore. That's all I'm gonna say. I was the spirit of the wind that was born a unicorn instead of Pegasus. At first that seems like a strange decision, like it was somehow a mistake. Fruitless seeds, convenient. He's telling Strappy's history at the same location. That means they are near Rabadon's farm. Yep. Okay, confirmation. They were on a flying airship. It's not like their current location would be that much important. Well, it is for them. It is important for now, because it's the same spot where he got his cutie mark. The Pony of Shadows, wind version. Well, I didn't talk about the Pony of Shadows, but I can see that as well. The wind and I become one that day. I can't laugh right now. I can't laugh loud right now. My voice is not letting me. What the heck is she doing out there? Was standing there on the cliff face and breathing in the wind. I felt all my fears and concerns wash away. I felt at that moment an utter certainty that none of this was a mistake. There was a reason and purpose behind everything and every pony. I felt the force that promised me that one of us could possibly be a mistake. That we are all what, were, and when we needed to be. There was also something else that occurred to me that night. A question I finally gained an answer to. It had to do with the special talents of various ponies. I recall once thinking about the varied talents and how many of them could be similar to each other, but others so vastly different from the rest that it makes that pony truly unique in the world and for all the time. I also recall wondering if that talent was really important to the world, something that could make it such a better place. What was the point of ever enjoying the talent if you knew it was going to leave the world when they die? Oh, wait. With the 6 elements. Earth, air, fire, water, light, shadows. What is your background with those elements? Oh, yes. Wait, who? Who is the Shadow Pony? Who is the Shadow Pony? Then. Who do you think is the Shadow Pony? Because if the 6 elements are actually... Wait. No, they are just 6 elements. 6 elements of harmony. They can be tied to there, because some can be tied to them. But then who is the Shadow Pony? Vast majority of us are not immortal. Unlike Celestia, we shall die. And that meant our special talent, no matter how useful it may be, would one day leave the world as well. Why then was it so important to ever have it? It only caused dependency upon a temporary system. If it was something so special and unique, then how would the world endure its eventual loss? On that night though, I felt such intense unity with the spirit of the universe. The answer to that question finally came to me, and it was this. That special talent would appear when it was needed. When it was not needed any longer, it would leave, only to be replaced by something else that was relevant to the new time. The world is always changing, and the talents required for this harmony are always changing as well. The West of the Wind taught me that night to enjoy the special ponies and the talents that came with them while they last. And as for the future, don't worry about it. It will resolve itself. and those special ponies would come along when it became their time to shine. And the world goes on. Rarity is the Earth. Wait, Rarity is the Earth? I thought Applejack would be the Earth. But I guess that makes sense because of gems. Pinky air, yeah, he is bubbly. Rainbow fire, yep. Applejack water, maybe. Twilight, obviously this is the light. But Fluttershy is the shadow. Mrs. Pet Pony, who is still not cured from her badness fully. If you remember Back to Bed episode, she is still not. She is actually not cured fully from that. I was given AJ Earth. She epitomizes Earth Pony. Nope, too obvious she is wood under the Chinese television system, but then it goes to Earth plus water. Well, then that just makes a Rarity Applejack ship. Also, I will give Rainbow Air. No, Fire actually very well predicts her perfectly because of her personality. Flashlight mind bending overpowering Will is not a nice power. Well, nope. That's not how you want to say it. There is no darkness and light. There are no good and evil. They are actually good and evil, but for powers like this, mind bending is not something you can call it's not nice or nice. No, it's the same thing as a coin. It's the two sides of the coin. It's just how you use it. That is the difference. Like Discord Chaos. Discord Chaos is not a nice power because it is against harmony. It is basically, he is the element of disharmony. But without disharmony, there is no harmony either. So, and also sometimes some crazy things are much better to happen than the normal everyday life. Lightning on her kitty mark and the implied energy release of a rainbow motif makes Rainbow Dash a fire primary element. Yep, I agree with that. I fully agree with Rainbow Dash being the fire. If Fluttershy wasn't the shadow, I would have given her the water though. But that would have left Applejack with the shadow, and that wouldn't be nice. What is she hiding? This was just a taste of the wisdom and peace I felt on that night. This peace pounded into me, trying over and over again to prove why I didn't need to worry, even about the things that should be impossible to be safe trying to do. If I put the elements in terms of race and individuals, I will give Earth Pony Air to Pegasus, Fire the Dragon to Crane, Water to Hippogriff, and Celestial Light or Shadow. I actually think that each one of the main six are a mix of both elements, of two elements at least. You can't just put one element to them. Just as Aramis says, water and fire makes thunder. The dichotomy, opposite aspects, make your personality that unstable. A project is so down to earth because both water and earth are both down. Yeah, that makes sense. Then Pinkie Pie is air and air. Just air. She is too bubbly to become anything else. There was a brief moment when I wondered why all this was happening that night and not earlier. I'd experienced such agony waiting for my destiny before, and the answer that came to me in the wind was, because back then you were not ready. It was not your time yet. Now it is. Jump. Be free. I will catch you. Be as feather in the wind. I called you 3 times. You jumped 2 times. Once you survived. Second time you survived. Maybe this time you will die. Wow, the tangent here. Pinkie's light and there, obviously. No, actually not. Pinkie is not air and light. At least one part you can call it air and light. But she is air and shadow. I call it now. Don't forget Pinkamina Diane Pie. Don't forget about the despair she has. The shadow is just well hidden beneath all that air. A feather in the wind, Quill said in an enchanted voice. That's right. He closed his eyes and breathed in deep. I am a feather in the wind. A feather in the wind. I am light. I am near weightless. Tonight, I will finally fly. As I chanted that, I actually felt myself getting lighter and lighter. Gravity at long last relaxed its pull. It almost felt as if it gave up trying to convince me to stay on the ground. Now that I finally realized it, I no longer had to be tethered to it. Gravity finally gave up trying. Over and over again, other police tried to pound in the message that this just couldn't be done, that this was impossible, and I was a fool for trying. But deep in my heart, I didn't listen. And finally, after all this time, I was feeling the proof. I was feeling myself becoming as light as a feather. Becoming is her reflection. Well, again, we are back to the two sides of the same coin. Do I have something here? Not really. What do you see? This is Pinkie Pie, and this is Pinkamina Diane Pie. If this was 2 different colors, it would still be the same thing. At this point, we are just delaying the climax of the quiz. Could you have a moment? Yep. Well, at least we are talking about the same things, actually, because as he said, let me scroll back. A feather in the wind. I am light. I am one with the wind. So, I guess Quill is now, as canon, he is air and light. Canon, there we go. Element. So, when I finally took that leap off the cliff, it was with no hesitation, but a lot of delay. No fear, no remorse. Only a certainty that it would work this time. I felt as if I already had the proof before I leapt. So there was nothing I needed to worry about. All I really had to do was enjoy the flight. And so did I. I flew. I really flew. I was blown about like feather in the wind. I felt the exhilaration of being able to stretch in any direction. I felt the exhilaration of being able to stretch in any direction I wanted. I knew for sure I would not reach a solid object. There really was no up or down anymore. Just empty 3D space, stretching in every direction. I could go anywhere. I was free. But then, I plummeted into Earth. The end. I died again. He was so further and did just like some raw fool. Also, it's night. It's nighttime. He was sure that he wouldn't reach a solid object. There are probably higher trees than that. He definitely hit some of them, but he was not feeling them because of the ecstasy that he felt. I was also at the mercy of the winds. By simply being a feather, I was only being blown about, but at the time I didn't care. I became like Sky Dancer in my poem. I was literally like a fictional character brought to life. No longer did I have to write down such stories and wish painfully that it was true. Now I could experience it instead, and this was the only beginning. This was only the beginning. There was no regret that I couldn't control. There was no regret that I couldn't control my course yet, because this was the ultimate expression of freedom and unity with the wind. Since I knew I was the wind, that really it was only blowing in the direction I wanted to go, anyway. It was doing what I wanted automatically, without any conscious effort on my part, if a deep feeling sank into my heart. Gee, I wish I could be blown in that direction. Then poof, it happened. The wind was setting me on that course before I even thought that thought. Can you do that? Can you explode? Die twice? Yes. You can. That is actually possible, even in human physicality. Your mind can die, and then your physical body can die. That's dying twice. I wouldn't wish it for anyone really, because that's worse than anything. It was a bliss to just relax and go with the flow. Honestly, I didn't really have a destination in my mind or heart. All I wanted to do was flow free in the sky, and so did I. Until I crashed into a tree. I was right. And I died. That brought me out of my stupor for somewhat. I woke up, as if from a daze. I opened my eyes just in time to notice how my body was ignited in a brilliant flash of white light. It shimmered around me for several seconds, but more importantly, it was the explosion of... It was the explosion! It was the explosion of feeling that came inside me. That was more overwhelming than anything else that happened at that moment. Compared to that, the shimmering light around me felt more like a side effect. Still, if you had actually been there during that time, I'm pretty sure you should have seen an unusual sight, a bright flash that briefly disturbed the night darkness. He flashed himself in the dark. Light stands out in the darkness, even from great distance after all. The feeling inside me settled at the same time the light did, suggesting a strong correlation. After that, I had a pretty good idea of what had just happened. I had never seen it before personally, but I had read about the phenomena like this multiple times. Since it was dark, however, I ignited my horn with light, then looked back at my flank just to double check, and sure enough, I saw my cutie mark for the first time. Was this cutie mark glitching, showing a broken tree? Maybe it is a broken tree. Then his name wouldn't be Skydancer, it would be Treebreaker. Wouldn't it? Well, you can see it now since I'm here talking to you, but I mentioned of Hoofedly. How would you describe it to those who hadn't seen it before? Strawberries read it and said, I would say it looks like a white feather blowing in the wind. There are bits of magical sparkles with that wind, and the white feather is the most dominant feature of that mark, the one closest to the foreground. Then he realized he was sick with kittypox. Well, it is in that forest because, is it? It can be in that forest. We don't know yet. Father considered that, then nodded in agreement. That sounds like an accurate description. For a moment I pretended I was someone else who had never seen it before, and had to rely entirely on your description. Based on what you said and how it actually looks like, I could call that a fair assessment. But I realized something else important that night. What I realized was my true name. Feather Wind. Feather Wind whispered to himself, the first time in his life. Okay, okay. Stop. He has now 3 names. He is now Skydancer, he is now Featherwind, and he is now also Queer Dancer. There we go. That's definitely not healthy. So which one should we call him? Yay! Starbase cheered half-heartedly because that was a fact, and she had already known all her life. We didn't know that before. Featherwind shifted her amusement. Featherwind shifted her amusement as he said, I know it does not have much relevance to you. This was a spoiler you had already known a long time ago, but try to imagine someone else in your place who had never heard this story before and heard it revealed for the first time. It would be special for them. Surprise! Yep. Good for them. Starbreeze said with a sarcastic roll of her eyes. Good for them. I'm not them, so forgive me if I don't act too excited about this. Strawberry's expression softened as she said next. Well, it's nice to finally hear how and why you got your cutie mark, as well as learn how you finally realized your true name. I've known plenty of ponies who kept their birth name from birth to death, never seeing a need to change it. Perhaps for them, it was already a perfect fit, but in your case, I guess your parents didn't realize your full potential. Your potential as fully as perhaps some others do, for their faults. When you were born a unicorn, why would they give you a name in an expectation that you would fly someday? Silencer is the name of his character in his poem, and the name of Starwing's cousin. It's not Quill's name. Yeah, I actually thought that he would become Skydancer, as he said, but because of the title of the story, which is Skydancer, the first flying unicorn. So basically this whole story is not about Skydancer at all. It's about Featherwind. We are shifting protagonists ever so often. First of all, we had the title, which is obviously Skydancer, the first flying unicorn. Then you introduced us to Starbreeze, who we thought that would be the protagonist. She still is. She is still listening to the story, but she is just that, a listener to the story. But then it became Quill's call. We thought he would become a Skydancer later, but no, he is not. The title is a little misleading. That comment even comes up later. If he even met with the power of the wind, then he would be Dancer of the Sky. Featherwind regarded his daughter thoughtfully, then asked, "Since you put it that way, may I ask how well do you think you personify your name?" Not sure. Starbreeze sat up and stretched, placing both of her forelegs behind her head and shifting from side to side. I'm smiling. Just a little bit. Because reasons. I think Artemis knows the reason. Because that's the pose I chose as well. I'm still young and have yet to discover my true destiny. I might be getting closer to it. I can almost feel it as I listen to the story. I'm trying to listen what... Okay, obviously a phone call. I hope you can't hear that. Army police have weird shoulder bones for legs. That's true. But yeah, you remember this, right, Arkamis? Him? This is why I was smiling a little bit. Personally, I love the stars, and I love the breeze. The two go hoof and hoof together. Plus that is the way I look. I can easily imagine why you gave me the name Star. And as for breeze, pshh, she gave a specific wave. Every Pegasus has got to have some sky team name in their name. Everybody knows that. She then gave another roll for her eyes. Yep, I got it. Featherwind's gaze shifted to his left as he said, "It's actually uncanny how often a forest bird given name seems to shape his shape his or her destiny. I think the only reason we don't have some pony ruling over us, all of us in Equestria, with iron hoof right now, is because no pony ever named that for a world ruler or some equivalent. But even a pony did, the pattern shows they often manifested their destiny suspiciously closely, no matter how extreme it may initially seem. Remember that from my earlier videos? Sadly, I can't do that anymore because of YouTube algorithm. It even grabs the videos sometimes already. That's why you have to wait for every episode like months, because they instantly block it, and it's just a long time until they answer, but that's fine. And if it would be bigger, just as big as it was before, it would be stay blocked. But yeah, you know why I was laughing? Because I didn't expect it as Iron Hoof. But I actually imagined Iron Will at the side of the new ruler, and read it like that. We don't have some pony ruling over all of us in Equestria with Iron Hoof right now. Let's just change it to Iron Hoof with big I and big H. The Red Ruler became the first pony to measure the exact length of the planet. Now that I have in mind. And we are done, by the way. Oh, just for that, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Strawberries promised with an evil smirk. I'm going to name my foal World Ruler and see what happens. I suggest you take this seriously. Father Wind won his daughter humorlessly. Imagine if it actually happens. Would you be still laughing at them? There are those in the past who actually tried to do exactly this. You wouldn't like the tactics they tried to use. Point taken. but Sam is acknowledged as she calmed down. So then, get on with the story. What happened next? What happened next? Feather Windeck crowed, then said, well, I went home. And I ended the page. Right here, and the chapter. You will hear the rest of the story tomorrow. Now it's night time. It's not. It's not night time. But yeah, that was a short episode. Why did I say episode? It's a chapter. Episode, chapter, same thing. And I'm actually smiling because I hear my mother on the phone that she's saying I'm loud while she's just as loud as me. Because I hear her. It could have been an hour for this reading. Yep, it was around that. But yeah. So let's see, let's look back here first. What did we learn? He went home, he went back to Rabadon, and at night he woke up, at least he thought he woke up, and flew in the wind. And then in the morning he woke up again, because that was just a dream. Short but important. Also, as you can hear, my voice is going away already. And that is another reason why I'm not gonna stream tomorrow. But yeah, I actually don't know when it is gonna be the next one. Let me check. Just real fast. How long or short is 7? 7 is longer. But I see an XOXO around the middle. So that should be fine. But I'm not gonna read that. We are not in chapter 7 yet. And I'm not gonna do... when I'm streaming again, that's what I'm trying to think about. Maybe on Monday. Maybe on Monday. Monday and Tuesday. I'm gonna put it as a part, as a two-parter. It's medium length. I'm still gonna do it as a two-parter, just to be serious enough, and we will see how far I can go. But after that, I don't know yet. If that's okay with you. It's gonna be at the same time. But actually, wait. There's gonna be a daylight saving time change. Today at night. Or tomorrow morning, basically. I don't know if it's gonna change for you or not. Because we have those stupid daylight change. Daylight. What is it called? Yes, I will put it as a thing. What is it called? It is called daylight saving time, that's fine. Okay, I was not... there's nothing, anything to it, but that's gonna change tomorrow. So I wanna keep it to the at the same time for you. Yep. Do you have your change as well tomorrow or not yet? Because for us it is changing. We are rolling the time forward an hour. No one says here in Argentina, single hour for everyone in the country always. We are trying to actually do that here as well, but it's not implemented yet. Then that means Quill score has the same thing. Okay. We will see. We will see. But yeah, tomorrow is not gonna be anything. Probably I'm just gonna post a video. Like maybe the episode of My Little Pony. Maybe. Maybe the first episode of My Little Pony. Maybe the best. Who knows? It does make small inconvenience near the mountains, but if the people live there, it is rolling forward. Yep, it's forward. We are changing it from 2 AM to 3 AM. But yeah, as you can see, I am actually really tired. So I'm not gonna put the time right here. I'm just gonna post tomorrow when I can. You watching episode 9 next? No. Episode 9 is already on YouTube. I just have to press the post button instant and it will be on. I still have to copy and paste my comments there, but I'm still waiting for Hasbro to answer, basically. That's all. It is that day of the year, people are angry, unstable, etc. But yeah, episode 9 is gonna be on YouTube next. Thank you for being here. You shouldn't thank me for the reading. Yep. From the lack of sleeping. But yeah, I shouldn't get the lack of sleep right now because I'm gonna go to sleep and I'm gonna sleep until 8 PM or something like that. I'm gonna sleep a long time because I am tired. But thank you all for being here and see you next time. Bye.